Hello everybody and welcome to Ascension Day, the end of our 40 days of unremitting joy, the end of the Easter season and the time when we celebrate Christ ascending into heavens, that final goodbye. You know what I'm missing at the moment? A big choral evensong, a big, fat, heavy, full singing, anthem-laden, meaty hymn choral evensong. So what I thought we could do for Ascension Day is that I'd put together a series of links below this video of some of the best hymns for Ascension Day, best music for Ascension Day, and we go through them together. So the first thing we need is a really good stonking introit, and we have that in the anthem Evening Hymn by Balfour Gardiner. Balfour Gardiner has a special place in my heart. He was a very self-critical man. He destroyed almost all of the music that he wrote. We're lucky to have this one single choral anthem that he left to us, basically because it was so popular he couldn't destroy it before it was published and circulated, and it's been a great choral service, a great choral favourite ever since. Balfour Gardiner died in 1950. He was a huge supporter and promoter of the work of other people while remaining incredibly humble about his own. But this, I think, is just a touch of the divine. Let's have a hymn now, shall we? Something we can all sing together. Not perhaps the most well-known of hymns that we've ever had, but one that I wish we knew better. Jerusalem the Golden was written, the text was written by Bernard of Cluny. That's Cluny in northern France rather than the parish church near Morningside. And describes this very Ascension-like in between two worldsness that we have sometimes. We are citizens of heaven and we are pilgrims upon earth, and that hymn captures just that almost Keatsian-like heart melancholy and yet full of hope. Now, a good evensong needs a really good psalm, and you cannot get better than Psalm 106 for evensong. Now, a good evensong needs a really good psalm, and a good psalm sung in Anglican chant, which is peculiar to evensong and peculiar to Britain. Let's not forget that evensong is a Church of England service devised by Thomas Cranmer in the prayer book, and it was what's known as Cranmer's genius. And it developed this way of singing the psalms with choral chant, and it's utterly beautiful. Psalm 106 is a great big beast of a psalm, which talks through the loyalty and then infidelity of the people of Israel, and how God forgives and keeps forgiving, and sometimes gets cross. There's some lovely bits in this which show Anglican chant at its best. I remember singing this when I was at the cathedral, and I didn't know what it meant when it said they joined themselves onto Baal Peor, but I did know that was a really bad move. Guys, don't do it. Don't join yourself onto Baal Peor. It's not going to work out best for you. So our readings I will put before us, which will be the same readings for Sunday, which is the end of the Acts of the Apostles and the beginning of Luke's Gospel, because that's when Luke describes the Feast of the Ascension. But for our Mag and Nunc, we have to have something that's a great big happy fat smile of a piece, and you cannot get better than DYSON in D. DYSON was the organist of York Minster. He was a very traditional man in a changing world, you know, Second World War and post-war. And this piece that he wrote in the 1960s could have been written in the 1920s. It is impossible for anything bad to happen to you while you are listening to the Magnificat of DYSON ND. It is just joy all the way through. If Dyson had been listening to this on a loop, he would never have died, because nothing ever bad happens to you while you're listening to DYSON ND. I love it. It's one of my most favoured and cherished anthems. And I really hope with both Dyson and Balfour Gardiner and some of the other composers that we have, they know something of the joy that they left to us with these beautiful pieces. If they're smiling up in heaven, I hope they're singing DYSON ND today too. So we could do worse than sing as one of our final hymns, "The Day Thou Gavest, Lord, is Ended." We sing it a lot at funerals, and it's an evensong hymn, it's an evening hymn. And there is something utterly beautiful about the idea that the work of the praise of God is going on in countries that we cannot reach, even when we are fast asleep. I've always found that a great comfort, not just when I'm sleeping, but when my faith has been struggling, to know that there are others who are taking up the prayer when I can't. It's a rolling sphere of a hymn that tells us that the work of God goes on, whether we sleep or whether we wake, and whether Christ has ascended into heavens or whether we feel his hand upon our shoulder, God continues. So for our anthem, we're going to carry on with our British choral tradition, and why not, because it's just glorious. A slightly more modern composer who died only recently in, I think, 2004, Patrick Gowers. Patrick Gowers was a lay clerk, singer at St Paul's Cathedral for much of his life, and he made his money composing jingles for TV. He also composed theme music for TV programmes. If you remember that lovely theme from Sherlock Holmes, the ITV Sherlock Holmes. That was one of his, and I could sing it forever. It's just brilliant. He wrote a piece for the Feast of the Ascension called Viri, Galilaei, "Ye men of Galilee, why stand you staring up into heaven?" It takes a while, but for me, no piece of music captures the beauty of Ascension and the mystery and the gloriousness of it, with also that lovely tingle of sorrow that they're losing someone that they love, but all of that enveloped in joy and wonder. This is Viri, Galilaei by Patrick Gowers. For our final hymn for Ascension Day, I think we have to choose "How Shall I Sing That Majesty?" It's one that we had a couple of Sundays ago recently. It was written by John Mason, who was a Calvinist, evangelical, Puritan, millennialist, a very strange man, clearly suffered from mental breakdown and really poor mental health, but wrote a hymn and wrote poetry and words which are so beautiful. They feel as though they come straight from heaven. And he places us as we need to be in Ascension Tide, gazing up to heaven and getting on with our work. Thou art a sea without a shore, a sun without a sphere. Thy time is now and evermore. Thy place is everywhere. What a beautiful way of praising the God who has given us all of this.